Hey guys, welcome back to Writer's Block, brought to you by AuthorSiteBuilder.com. This is episode 3. Today on Writer's Block, we have a special guest, Katie McCoach from KM Editorial. And Katie is here to answer all our editing questions, so let's get right into it. Hey Katie, welcome to the show. Why don't you get us started off here by letting us know a little bit about yourself and how you got into editing.
Okay, so I got into editing, well, really, I think like most editors you'll probably find, they all fell in love with writing first and reading. But because of writing, I ended up studying it in college, and then I took, some different workshop classes, critique groups, and through that I started to realize how much I liked working on everyone else's story. I really liked taking the class with them and being able to see them grow through their writing and being able to give them a hand or two on the way there. So that was always really exciting for me. And I think that was the first instance when I started to realize that's how editing was for me, I guess.
So for those of us who've never been through the editing process before, can you tell us what's the difference between a proofreader and an editor?
Oh, there's a huge difference, really. An editor is going to work with you with your content, and they're going to develop it. For any editor, whether it's copy editor or developmental, they're going to work with you to make it as strong as possible. They want it to make it the best possible work that you can put out. But a proofreader really just looks at the final edited manuscript and matches it up with what's going to go to print. And so they don't actually make changes unless it doesn't match what the copy editor had done already. So you definitely need an editor and a proofreader, definitely.
Okay, so the proofreader is kind of the final step. So what point in the process will we need to bring in an editor?
I would say an author should give it, a few rewrites on their own, do their own self-editing, which is really important. I don't think that you can go without a professional editor, but you can do your own editing by rereading the story a few times, picking out what you think works and what doesn't. Even reading it out loud would really help. But then after a few drafts, I would say it's time to go on to an editor. First, developmental, to work with the story to find the things that maybe you'd missed, and then a copy editor to really look at give it a closer look at the words on the page, so grammar, punctuation, and things like that. And then you would go to a proofreader for the very last step.
So do the developmental editor and the copy editor need to be different people, or can you use the same editor for both?
There are some editors who do both. Not too sure if they always work on the same manuscript. I personally recommend that my authors, after I work with their story to develop it, I recommend they go to a different copy editor, because sometimes even an editor can get too close to the story and you might begin to miss things just like an author would. But you can. It really depends on what the editor specializes in.
So Katie, tell me, what advice would you give someone who is looking to go the self-publishing route?
I would say you should hire an entire team. You want to hire a developmental editor, a copy editor, beta readers even, and then your proofreader, and when it comes to that point, book designers. You want to have the whole team, because this is your business that you're putting out there. So you want it to be as professional as possible.
So being new to the editing process myself, is there anything about editing that we should know that I didn't think to ask?
How to choose your best editor, I think, is something that a lot of authors may not know where to begin. So you really want to think about what you're looking for, your timelines, your genre. You might want to find an editor who specializes in certain genres. You can get sample edits. There are many guidelines to getting sample edits, but to start, a really good place to start to do your research, to go ahead and pick your editor, There are many different websites, but I would recommend the Editorial Freelancers Association, which is www.the-efa.org. And that's a really great website because it kind of goes into general rates that you might find for editors, different type of editing processes, and it has a list of editors, and you can go through all their profiles and see what they do, what they're best at, specialize in, and then you can kind of figure out who's going to be best for you. You really want someone who's going to listen to your voice, your vision, and will work with you to make it stronger and not try to change it.
Awesome. So tell me, as we wrap up here, who else would you like to see interviewed on the show?
You know, I'd love to see a few different people. I'd love to see some self-published authors who maybe have put out a couple books, and so they could share maybe some of the different struggles they went through, some things they learned along the way, and how much it might have varied from, book 1 to book 3. And I'd also love to see author assistants. That's something I'm kind of new to and I've heard about, and I think that would be fun to learn more about what they do.
Author assistants? I hadn't heard of that. I'll have to check that out, and we'll see about getting one on the show to do an interview.
Yep. I think there are a lot of virtual author assistants out there.
Well, thanks, Katie, so much for coming on the show today. We learned a lot about editing, and we had a ton of fun, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So we have a couple of announcements today. First off, AuthorSiteBuilder.com is now offering a free 60-day trial on all author websites with no credit card required. So stop on by to AuthorSiteBuilder.com and sign up for your free 60-day trial. And there's free setup on all new author sites. So we'll go ahead and load in all your content and everything, and you guys will be ready to go right out of the gate. So check it out, and if you guys have any questions, just give us a shout at info@AuthorSiteBuilder.com. Next up is the cover contest. February's cover contest is now officially over, so we'll go ahead and announce the winner and show you guys the winning cover design on next week's show. And with a new month comes a new cover contest, so be sure and head to the site, AuthorSiteBuilder.com/cover-contest to get your book in for March's cover contest. And you guys can submit your books every month, so if you didn't win this month, just come on back and submit your book next month and every month for a chance to win. Alright guys, that's it for episode 3. We've got some awesome stuff planned for you guys in the upcoming weeks, so be sure and hit the subscribe button to be notified of all our new episodes. We'll also be running some exclusive subscriber promotions and contests in the coming weeks, so be sure you guys keep an eye out for that. And that's it. We'll see you guys next week.